Hi, Mom.
Hi. Hi, son. Hi, everybody. Well, hi, everybody. Just to introduce myself, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Kiesha Lalama. I'm a professor here with the Point Park University dance program. I am entering my 20th year. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And today I am honored to bring to you the very first Point Park University dance speaker series. So this is very exciting. We are bringing our alumni back so they can share their experiences and definitely career paths and maybe some advice and offer just insight to the big broad world of what we're covering today, which is Broadway. So I'd like to welcome Miss Gabriela Sorrentino and then Gabby Hamilton and Mr. Ahmad Simmons. All three of these dancers hold a very special place in my heart, both professionally and personally. So this conversation is going to be something really, 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 really unique and really special, which is great. So I would love for each one of you just to kind of kick us off with, tell us a little bit about yourselves, and would love to know more about your path, where you started from, and how you got to Broadway. Who wants to go first? Don't make me call on you, because you know I will.
I could go. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, I'm Gabby Sorrentino. I'm a born and raised New Yorker. Grew up in the suburbs, and at a very young age just knew like this is what I wanted to do. And so I started at a dance studio, and trained there. So that was kind of my start. And then I was lucky enough to go to a professional performing arts high school in New York City, where I got to train at Alvin Ailey for 4 years. So that was pretty amazing. And then after high school, I went to Point Park University and graduated with my BFA in dance, concentration in jazz. And after college, I joined the union pretty quickly. I was very lucky enough to get into the union, and I worked with Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera. That was my first professional job out of school. And then after that summer, came back to New York, hustled, did a bunch of regional theater all across the United States. And then in 2016, I booked my first Broadway show, which was On Your Feet, which is the Gloria Estefan musical. And then shortly after that, I got the call for Hamilton in Chicago to start with the brand new company there. And then 2 years ago, they transferred me here to New York to do the show. So now I'm currently the dance captain, swing, and I cover Peggy Mariah Hamilton on Broadway. And that's where I'm at now. It's kind of a little timeline.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll never forget the first time I met you at Point Park. You saw me in the hallway and you said, I'm supposed to know you. I want to go up to Broadway. And so I have to take your class. That's my awesome first memory of you. And I knew it. You knew exactly what you wanted to do and you did it. And that to me is just, that's awesome. So many congratulations. I look forward to talking to you more. All right, Miss Gabby.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabrielle Hamilton. I am from Harlem, New York City. First generation, my parents are not from the United States. I started dancing when I was 3 years old. My sister is a triple threat, but this is not about her. But she's the one that got me to the company. So I went to Uptown Dance Academy throughout my whole entire life. It was a Black-owned school in East Harlem. And from there, I literally dabbled in everything. So I was supposed to be a Trina, and I did the Bolshoi, and I was in Martha and Graham School. I had the opportunity to be in a professional performing arts high school, which was Talent Unlimited. And I really didn't think that dancing at that moment, at that time, was it for me. I wanted to be an engineer and or a psychologist. And so I came to Point Park out of luck because my friend signed me up the day before the audition. So graduated Point Park 2018 and booked my first off-Broadway show with Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma as the lead dancer. And then we transferred to On Broadway, which is my Broadway debut, 2019. Still the lead dancer. And from then, I got that job through Point Park because of one of the guest choreographers that was coming in the winter concert, see me one day and was just like, come back, come to this audition. And from then I won the Cheetah Rivera Award for Outstanding Performer and the Bessie Award for Outstanding Performer, and a lot of other things. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, beautiful, Gabby. Gabby, I told the kids the other day how I saw you on the airplane when we were transferring it, headed back to, and both just crying, just
Yeah.
screaming and crying on that airplane. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
It was
Like,
such a gift, just such a gift, but
mhm.
I love it. Okay, Mr. Ahmad, who are you?
Hey, hey. My name is Ahmad Simmons. I am a 2010 graduate of Point Park University, back when it was a metamorphosis of me. Um, I am from the South. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, went to school there at a performing arts school from 4th through 12th grade. It started actually as a private choir school. So I sang in a boys' choir for 10 years. I was a choir boy and found dance a little later. Probably around 8th grade, I found dance through the Debbie Allen Dance Institute summer programs. Ended up getting bit by the bug. So after leaving high school, I found Point Park because they had a dance program and a musical theater program you could audition for in the same week. And that was like more bang for your buck. Had no idea what the program was about. Didn't know that it was this stellar program, just knew that you could audition for both. Did that. Dance gave me a few $1,000s more, chose dance, and then found love in the program and teachers like Kiesha and the community there. Every summer I was in Point Park, I would go down the street to the Benedum and perform with the Pittsburgh CLO. That's where I got my equity card doing Cats. I think it was 2007. It's my first season there. I did 12 shows there. They couldn't kick me out soon enough. Got my equity card, left college, and actually went back to concert dance. So everybody I was performing with at CLO was going off to New York and going on to Broadway. And I was like, but I have a dance degree and I really want to do contractions and this is what I want to do. So I found a small modern dance company in Detroit, danced with them for about 10 months until I got hired by River North in Chicago. Then I danced with River North Dance Chicago for 4.5 years, traveled internationally and nationally with them. Left River North in 2015 to move here to New York to perform with Parsons Dance Company. I danced with David for a year until I went to the open call of Cats here on Broadway, and actually made my debut on Broadway doing the same role I got my equity card with at Pittsburgh CLO. So that started my Broadway career here in 2016. And since then, I've done Carousel with Justin Peck. I originated the cast of Hadestown and did Fosse Verdon, the miniseries, which was one of the best times of my life. And then got into West Side Story here on Broadway. So when we go back, that's the show I'll be in. So that's me.
Amazing. I think one of my, well, there's many memories, but one of my favorite memories was having coffee. I'm pretty sure I was in New York on a recruitment trip or something, and you called me and said, Mom, I have to tell you something. And people know that River North is always, and you certainly know, a special place in my heart. And you said, I got a contract with River North, and just, we were both crying. I mean, just crying on the phone. And there's just such joy in watching all three of you develop, and yes, develop as amazing professional performers. But I get emotional when I think about how beautiful you are as people and as human beings, and how you've kept in touch with everyone in your life, and how much you care. You just genuinely care, and just so much respect for you as you've grown into these beautiful adults, both professionally and personally. So many congratulations to you on so many aspects, but just proud of you, and again, honored to be here. So I do want to welcome all of our students from around the country. We have so many students that are actually listening today. So hello, everybody. Welcome to all of our new students, maybe some alumni and other guests. I do want to kind of get the conversation going with a Q&A, but I think that I'll kick it off. And because we're alluded to a little bit about your journey at Point Park, I would love to hear how Point Park helped you. You know, how did Point Park actually contribute in your journey towards, well, I mean, success, right? Professional success. So let's kind of go backwards this time. Ahmad, let's start with you.
Yeah, I would say I was absolutely flailing going into that program in many ways. I was so unrefined, like that, like I was just raw. I had passion. I knew I had passion for the thing. Technique wasn't really something in my head. I just wanted to move. And so that's what I mean by flailing. And also just flailing in terms of knowing what does it mean to have a career in dance? Like, that's not something I had ever really thought of. Like, what is a day to day as a dancer? Like, what does it mean to dance from 10 to 6, a touring company? What does that actually mean? How do you get paid? And what, so there's so many things that Point Park taught me. But I would say the biggest thing is how to package and harness all of that raw energy and talent and turn it into craft. You know what I mean? Like, you see still a lot of people have that thing, that rawness, that thing, but you have to study. And once you study and turn it into craft, you can reproduce it daily. You know what I mean? And that's not something we really learn until we're in a program, conservatory program like that. It's the day-to-day, how to be able to produce that thing every day, every night, 8 shows a week, 20 cities in a month. It's that skill and that craft that undeniably is something I learned from Point Park. Also, I wasn't really beat down by Point Park. It was still very small when I was there. So a lot of it, we had to make our own way. And it's something that I'll challenge everybody on here to continue to do there. It's like, it's still a place where you have to make your own way, right? And they do that on purpose. So those are I would say two of the biggest things for me.
Great. We talk a lot about process and how important it is, right? We're all chasing that thing, that goal, that one thing that we want to achieve, but it really is more important about showing up every day and understanding the process and how you can really grow, evolve, and just gain tremendous insight about yourself and the industry if you just kind of be present.
Yeah, show up. That's the hardest thing.
Right, that is every day, on the worst day, showing up. That's exactly right. Gabby.
Yeah, so Point Park, really, I had a different experience. So I came into Point Park not like wanting to dance. I knew dance was my love, but I didn't know I was going to pursue it in my further life, like career. And to be completely honest, freshman and sophomore year was one of the most foundational years for me, because Point Park really questioned me and just, who are you? And what is dance to me? Like, what does it give me? And I started seeing dance in a different light. Like, I was put into situations where, yes, it's about technique, and yes, it's about giving and passion. But however, I was dealing with people and choreographers where they would talk to me and be like, I want you to listen. And I want you to listen with your eyes. I want you to gaze and focus. I want you to gaze and focus here and then expand. Like, I had an internal, like, ascension with Point Park University. And that was my process being there. And that's how I see dance. I just see dance differently because of my teachers, like, because of like Kiesha and Jason and like everybody that I ever had, Judith, just seeing dance in a different light. And just in a way where I'd never seen it before. And so it opened my eyes to the different levels and the different channels I have as a dancer, and just not even that, as an artist, as a soul walking on this earth, trying to give my gift to the world. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you. Gabriella.
Well, to piggyback off of that, I definitely think teachers believing in you helps. I definitely had those mentor teachers, Ron Tassone, Jody Welch, people that really kind of guided me along the way, especially in the jazz department. And that was important because I learned a lot, obviously, growing up in New York and being here and going to the ALE school. And so I kind of had that background of the professionalism kind of coming in, but you really need that support before you become a professional. And I felt like I really got that at Point Park. And then the other thing is that I was able to not only get my BFA in jazz dance, I felt so well-rounded. I took 8 a.m. ballet every year. I took tap every year. I took modern every year. I even took acting and vocal lessons on top of my degree. So it really kind of allowed me to flourish as an all-around performer. And I just loved the dance department being able to allow us to take that many different styles of dance. I felt like I came to New York very prepared.
That is amazing. I am trying to access, I can see some questions popping up in the Q&A box. And Caitlin, if you can hear me, the Q&A box is not opening up on I don't know if I have access to it unless I'm the host. So it's not opening. So I'm going to continue with questions.
I see two.
You see 2 questions, right? But you don't actually see the questions?
I see them.
We
Oh,
see
I
them on
can't,
our
it
end.
won't let me open them.
I can ask the question then.
Perfect.
Okay, great. First question, how has the pandemic affected your ability to keep being your professional best?
Who wants to start?
Well, I'm gonna go. Well, this pandemic has really put a downer on me in the beginning, because our industry was closed. Let's just be really blunt about everything. Everything was down. We didn't know what was going on. And so there was just a moment of just complete numbness in my side. And I am my craft. So with that being said, I wasn't able to create with my body. And so I was feeling tension. I was feeling sadness. I was feeling everything outside of the world even more because I wasn't able to produce. I wasn't able to give, even if nobody's seen it. It was just given to the earth. And so now that we're still in this pandemic, and now, but it's I feel like it's more light for me now because I don't care about how we used to make or how we used to dance in the old ways. It's about the new now, and I am the new. And so it's just been great meeting people on that type of time and just knowing that this is the time for transformation. Like the many conversations that I used to have with our teachers about how we see the dance world and how we would want to see the dance world is like, oh, okay, now it's us. Like we are the ones. We get to revolutionize every single thing. We get to make new techniques. We get to experiment with technology. I don't know, but that's where I'm at now. And so now COVID and everything has allowed me to look at new and be in the new and manifest that. So yeah, that is my COVID experience.
Great answer. And Kate, so you know, I do have access to the Q&A box now. It's opening up. But anybody else have a comment about the COVID situation and how it impacted you?
You want to, Alon, do you want to go? I guess mine is, I'll make it short. I've had a little bit more of a difficult time with this pandemic. It's really hard to get to where you want to be. Like, it's always been my dream to be on Broadway and to be there. And I just love my show so much and what it represents. And it just happened so quickly. Like it was just taken out from under us. Like it was the middle of the afternoon on a Thursday and they were like, don't come to work. And we just didn't know. And we still don't know. And I have hope for the future that we will be back and theater will be stronger than ever. But I think in this time, it's been more reflective for me to try to figure out who I am without that. And that's been really hard. Like I don't know if I've quite figured it out yet. So I think that's my journey through this pandemic is trying to figure out what else I enjoy or what else I can do without the performing arts because it's just so much of who I am. So that's where I'm at.
And the good thing from that is that you'll never take it for granted, right? So that is a good thing. Sometimes when things are taken away from us, we have just a better appreciation and a deeper appreciation for them. Ahmad.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely it. I would say I sort of pride myself on being ahead of the game, for better or for worse, I'm always planning like 18 steps ahead. And again, for better or for worse. But the fact that like on that Thursday, I'm coming from my gym, walking those 3 blocks to the Broadway theater, and someone says, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, shows are canceled." And like, that's how I find out. To me, catching me off guard is the worst thing ever. So I had that similar arc to Gabby, where I was like, well, first I said, okay, well, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to go home. This is great. I needed the rest. My back was hurting anyway. And then I went through that sort of thing of like, okay, who am I, without this thing? And that led me to going, okay, well, let's really examine what this does for you. And how many times you've made an excuse of, oh, I can't, I have the show. Or, yeah, I want to do that thing. Or I want to invest in this side of the business. Or I want to give this creative space in my brain, like more time, but I'm doing a show. So it's like, I don't have time. And it sort of forced me to catapult myself into what I really wanted to do, which was to be behind the scenes, which was to give other people opportunity to do it and not be so tied to my body on the stage. Because I'd say from high school, I've always wanted to teach and mentor and give opportunity. So this is just landing me in that space actually now, where it's saying, okay, you've done it here. This is great. You hit that goal that you wanted to do, that dream. You're living in it, but there's something missing. Access that something now that you have time to do that. So it kind of has led me to a different path, but a path that I've always wanted to be going on. So it's, sort of a roller coaster.
Great. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next question. And the question is, what or who inspires you to keep going in the dance industry? What or who inspires you just to keep going after this thing?
Honestly, it's students. I mean, it's the people that are going to the programs now. I mean, and I mean that in not a cliche way. It really is the people who don't have this cloak of jadedness or bitterness, or I've done this, or, oh, my back is hurting from this show. It's the people that are still like, oh, there's so much out there for me. Oh, if I can just get into the studio, if I can just meet, Gabby, if I can just be in a room auditioning for Gabby for Hamilton, like that's, people that still have that life in their fingertips. Like that's actually what keeps me going. I love to see people's eyes light up with information and knowledge, that they're still new to it.
Amazing. Lady? Yeah.
I would say that, the generation that is around us, under us, and just like seeing hope is what just drives me to just keep going, because that is such a confirmation to just see that people are still eager, still passionate, despite of what is going on outside of us. Like there's still light, so I'm going to continue to feed it and also be the light there is now that exists and amplify it, so everybody else can be hopeful and continue on with better life. So
Fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. I actually saw Ahmad like a bunch of weeks before the pandemic on the street, and we had such a moment. And it's seeing your friends, seeing your colleagues, seeing everybody in this business, because they really do push you, because someone's always doing something new, someone's always creating, someone's always auditioning for something. And so it makes you want to be better and push yourself even harder. And then I guess also as well is thinking about people that have impacted your life, mentors that have impacted your life. And I know for me, Ron Tassone is one of those people. And I always kind of hear him in the back of my head, always saying like, you made it, I'm there, I'm watching you, keep going, keep pushing through. And so that definitely helps a lot as well, is remembering those people who helped get you to where you are.
Amazing. Okay, so I love this question. As artists of color, what challenges have you been faced with in the industry, both as pre-professional and professional artists? So before you became professional and as well as even today. I know this is a tough one.
Well, it's, there's so much to unpack, especially right now, that the answer to that question today, and then back in 2010, and then 2006 when I was graduating high school, gosh, it's so changed. I would say what has stayed the same is you have to always know yourself completely before you go into a room. I say that, why that's the same from graduating high school to going into your fifth Broadway show is because the environment you're in and the people at the front of the room, the people in power will always test how well you know yourself. And they are able to influence, they're able to demean and take advantage of you should you not know yourself. And this is a time right now where everybody has nothing to do but to look into a mirror. So to be an artist of color right now, when I walk into a room, it's just about that 10% that I was holding back to sort of assimilate or to make myself palatable to a creative team or to a script or to a casting director no longer exists, right? We should never have had to do it, but now we absolutely will not do it. You know what I mean? That's where I would start that conversation. But ladies.
It's a very loaded question, and I feel like as a woman of color, being from New York City and having to experience everything, it has changed, but it's still the same. In the case of, when I was a pre-professional, I felt like I was great at what I was doing. And for example, when I went to the Bolshoi, I was the only Black girl in the whole entire thing. I had partners who didn't want to partner me because of my skin color, you know? So in that being said, and now being in a case where I knew myself enough to know that I am who I am and I'll make my stamp in this world however way it is. But the journey still that exists in it's demanding respect without even yelling that you need the respect. It's just knowing that you are just royal and you have everything you need to have to be in the same room as the other person that is right next to you. That is it. You know, so yeah, it's changed, but the change happens in us knowing that we are aware of who we are. So we allow people to finally open their eyes to be like, oh, okay, that's what they're on. This is the energy that is in front of me. And this is not an energy to play with, you know, in all terms and everybody. Yeah.
Great answer. Great answer.
I feel like when I first got out of school, I guess it really hasn't changed that much. I mean, I've been doing now Hamilton for 4 years, so I haven't been as much on the audition scene. But I remember going to auditions and kind of not really fitting into either box a lot of the time. I remember for a lot of traditional shows, they'd say like, you're too ethnic looking. But then sometimes when I do some more ethnic shows, they would say you're not ethnic looking enough. And so for me, that was always kind of the battle of like, where do I fit into all of this? And I love that I've gotten to debut with 2 shows that celebrate diversity, and then have all different kinds of people in it. And so I guess, you know, it's a business of opinion, and that really sucks. You know, what you look like, what your hair looks like. Are you tall enough? You're too short? You're too this. You're too that. I don't think that's ever going to change in the business. But I think we can maybe broaden that or like kind of elasticize that a little bit more as time is going on. So yeah, does that answer the question? I think it
No, I feel like you did. And I mean, just to kind of expand a little bit more, then it kind of circles back to the beginning with Ahmad saying, know who you are.
Yes.
And so let's expand upon that before we move on to our next topic. I mean, knowing who you are, is the most important thing. When you have this business is just subject to judgment, right? You get in front of a room of people looking at you and they're judging you, right? And are they good for the show? And Gabby, exactly what you said, right? It's, am I tall enough? Am I short enough? Am I, ethnic looking enough? Am I not? What are some tips that you can do to really, what have you done to kind of anchor yourself in knowing who you are, or some advice you can give to our young students that are just on the beginning of that discovery, right? So imagine yourself as a freshman at Point Park going, this jazz teacher's crazy. What's Martha Graham? Concert dance? I never heard of it, So right? So what are the realities, the truth? What are some steps that young artists can take to really dig in there and anchor themselves sooner rather than later? Because I love that is really the foundation of all of it, is who are you?
Yeah. You know what I'd say? Thank you for actually bringing me back to that freshman year, because it's different now. So you're right. Like, okay, coming into school, I would say I was so eager to take on everybody else's energy and opinion freshman year, and just kind of saying, oh, okay, so I should be like this, right? Oh, wait, no, I should be like this because they're cool. And that's how they are. Okay. So I shouldn't like what I like. Okay, I'm not going to like what I like. So I would say freshman year, the strongest thing you can do is take everything you have with you. Don't allow anyone around you, even the instruction, to be quite honest, to strip you of that. Okay? Stripping you of bad habits is not the same as stripping you of what your experience has been to lead you to Point Park. Right? And if you come with all of your bags and don't throw things out of your bags as people are saying, okay, well, that's not how I was, or that's not cool, and you're kind of seeing who's who. If you do that, then you're stripped of nothing. Then you walk into a room to audition for a guest choreographer and you're just a shell. And no choreographer, especially nowadays, wants a shell. They want a collaborator, right? So that involves you coming in with an opinion, physically, spiritually, right? That all informs what your career is going to be. Nobody just wants to put a step on you and you repeat the step back to them the way they gave it to you, because that's where it ends. So I would say that would be my advice, coming straight in.
That's fantastic.
My advice would be, just like my mom said, just be a sponge. Be grounded in yourself, knowing that your foundations brought you here. But however, you have the ability to take in, because you need more tools. Like, we're about to build something, you are building yourself, you are building whatever your empire you want it to be. So you need the right tools to get that, And so with that being said, be good on yourself, be good on what you believe in, your morals, and that comes with dance and stuff like that. But be open. And when I say be open to what you're hearing around you and take it in, like be open and knowledgeable about what you're taking in as well. Like the choreographers that's going to come in here, the teachers that you have, they have actual pearls of wisdom. You're not going to get a lot of pearls of wisdom from people in this world. A lot of us, well, not us, a lot of people is closed. They keep their stories closed. They keep their personal experiences closed. You have people around you that is giving you, like, sharing the story. So yeah, just take it in, and then don't be afraid of that change, that transformation in yourself, because you want to become your highest self. You don't want to be the same person you was yesterday or 5 minutes ago.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. I think you come into Point Park and it somehow feels very like you have to prove yourself and like why you're there. And I'll give a good example of when I was a freshman. I was very eager. Like when I came to Point Park, I was very excited. And there was a Martha Graham piece that was being set, and actually Ahmad was in it. And I was cast as like an understudy. And I literally had to just like sit in the room and watch. And it really taught me to like take in everything around me and like learn from my peers, not only my teachers. And I think that only really helped me develop more as an artist. And then I think then you figure out who you are as a person. Is like, I'm going to grab a little bit of this, I'm going to grab a little bit of that. And I think that's why I took so many different styles of dance my whole 4 years. It was like to really figure out like where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be and develop as an artist. So just take as much in as you can. And you know what? My first 2 years at Point Park, I was an understudy my freshman year. My sophomore year, I didn't get chosen for a piece. I like had to just continue to build and grow. And eventually I was able to graduate school and join the union and get my equity card. So it's all about your journey, and don't compare yourself to anybody else. That's really my advice.
I love that. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Your journey is yours, and that's the truth. Fantastic. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next question? Are we okay? Any other comments about that? That's an important topic. Are we good? Okay. I'm sure we'll get into something else here. Okay, so let's see. This is a good one. Are you still able to train or take technique classes while working as professionals in the industry? So it's that, what does that look like? 8 shows a week. Do you still have to take classes? And I know what the answer should be.
I was going to say, I'm looking at you, look at me, and going, oh, I know. Yeah, I'm the worst person to ask about that, because for me, a show takes every part of me.
Right. I mean, just be honest, right?
But the truth is, like, you know, those old heads and cats for 20 years back in the day, if you didn't take class, you weren't doing the show. Like, that's how it was. You went to that 10 a.m. ballet class, you went to your jazz right after, you had lunch, you did your kiki, you went to yoga, and then you did your show. But for me, I need every single ounce of body to get through the shows that I've been doing. They've been heavy dance shows, well, except for Hadestown. But, you know, Cats and Carousel were such heavy dance shows. So like my warm up for the show was my class. So I've really not taken in the past 5 years open class. So I'm the worst person to ask about that.
Well, okay, so before we get to the ladies, just an open class versus training. What do you do to take care of your body, maybe?
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely.
Right. So beyond walking into a traditional jazz class or a modern class, right, a Graham class or ballet, what do you do to keep your body in shape to protect you from not getting hurt in the middle of an 8-show week like Carousel?
Oh, yeah.
Being so intense with your body.
Oh, so for sure. Yes, I do that. That is cross training for me. And I don't mean just cross training with like the gym. I know for West Side, I needed to be bigger for my character and a little stronger. So I was doing like a private instructor for that, like weight training, cross training. But also for Carousel, it was very balletic. Justin's stuff is very round and rotated. And coming from Kat's and Andy's stuff, and it's a little bit more ticked and parallel. So I had to cross-train my body in that way. So that's a lot of physical therapy exercises, that's stealing exercises from the person who's on their 10th Broadway show. And you're like, oh, what are you doing that for? They're like, to stabilize my glutes, to stabilize my hips. And you're like, oh, well, let me try that. And then you start to put those exercises in your bag. I would say like there's a good 45 minutes of like the rolling out, you know, releasing that acid from the night before, the stabilizing of your hips, getting into your core, and then, you know, cardio, and then doing whatever your bar has to be for the show is what I would do. So for Cats, my bar would be very different. Like I need my knees to be warm. So that's a lot of in and out. It's a lot of plies. It's a lot of quick down and ups. For Carousel, I needed a little bit, like I needed quickness because of Justin's stuff, but I need to be round. So that's a lot of rondeggiant. That's a lot of leg up. That's a lot of spiraling in the back. I like to tailor my training for what I have to do in this show. So absolutely, that's what I mean by training. So sorry, excuse me.
No.
But yes.
But I think if it's both, right? There are some people, like you're saying, show up for that 10 a.m. ballet,
Yep.
You know, whatever it is, whatever you need. So I just personally know that you don't just show up for the show with Starbucks in your hand.
No, absolutely not.
It's like,
you can't. And people try, but
yeah.
I learned that you can't do that. But I learned that from doing concert dance first.
Right.
I took that from traveling and being, you know, on the road and having to be on a slope stage in a different city the next night. You know what I mean? So that's where I learned my my training aspect.
And it really is that whole concept of your body is your instrument.
Yes.
You have to take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gabrielle, I saw you unmute. What do you do? Like, what is your kind of process for taking care of your body during a show week?
me, Gabby, or the other Gabby? Me,
You
Gabby.
go for it. Yep.
Um,
I know you're both Gabby, so it's
um, yeah. I figured out that I really fell in love with Pilates. That's been something just for my body. For all those dancers out there that maybe don't have like the greatest facility or like the best turnout, I'm your girl. And I can't really do like really intense physical like stuff on my feet and my knees and my legs. It's different from like being in school to now being 30 and like, oh, my body is changing. So I really fell in love with Pilates because it kind of allowed me to lengthen, center, really figure out where my hips are at. Okay, they're really not where they're supposed to be at. Great. And so I started doing privates for that. And then thank God for PT. We get PT at the theater. Honestly, it saves dancers. It saves dancers. So I try to go at least 2 or 3 times a week to PT or some sort of massage, some kind of physical labor. It's really important on top of just the training. So yeah, PT.
great. And I mean, I would, for any young dancer listening, these are all things that should be incorporated into your training earlier rather than later. Often you think, at 18, at 20, you're invincible, but those kinds of small issues and tweaks can catch up to you. And it's, I wish I would have known that before, because then I could have implemented these ideas later. And a lot of programs are very intense, and especially Point Park's program, it's a rigorous program. So you've got to make sure that you take care of your body. But Gabby, what's your process like? I mean, I can't imagine the demand that choreography in Oklahoma has done. Just, you have left a mark. I mean, people are always like, her? And it's so signature and powerful, but graceful, but everything you can imagine. My point is that you had to be 100% mind, body, spirit walking into that moment, because it's a defining moment in theater and what you've been able to accomplish and leave, a gift for this industry. So what was your process?
My process, so with training, I always had a love and hate relationship when it comes to class. That's just me. But I always have, every time we would have shows, I always wear my body out because that's my body. It loves to be massaged. That's how it gets lengthened. And my warm-ups would be an hour because I'm very nurturing to my body. But getting on Broadway and having to do a 15-minute solo at one point to a 13-minute solo, dancing on wood, having to be athletic and running and barefoot. And there were times, my body would just swell up. My feet would swell up, my legs would swell up, my hands will swell because I'm hitting like the wall, the floor. And if you don't know, like my solo was very athletic, and there was moments of just straight abandonment. And I was so close to the audience members, and it was just very, very emotional. And for an 8-week, I don't even know how I did it. And I remember there were certain times where I would just cry. Like I would just cry. And, even in my warm-ups, and even in my warm-ups, I wasn't really warming up my body, but I was warming up my soul, because I was just giving every day. And, we have 2 shows on, on the weekends. It's 2 shows on Wednesday or 2 shows Saturday or Sunday. So, and even in those days, I would just have to just shut down, because I had to work up my mental, my spiritual, my emotional, and be okay with that. Be okay with being sad and my body feel crazy, because I did have an injury. I was out of commission for like 5 months because I had a L2. Like my L2 was just gone. Like my nerve was being pinched. I was in pain, yet I was doing this dance every night, to the point that my body was like, you have to stop. because you're not getting better, because you're saying you want to give 100, but you're giving 120. So it was a lot of acupuncture, a lot of physical therapy, a lot of cupping, a lot of STEM, a lot of everything that I didn't even really know about that was accessible to us. But because it was there, like cupping, I feel like everybody should do that. Everybody should have that. When it comes to massaging, everybody needs to have a masseuse, because that is what gets our body back into actually feeling okay, you know. And with 8 shows, with being in our Broadway stage, it doesn't matter what you're doing, to every day give that amount of energy and body in a multitude of people. It's not even just like a 20 audience. Like this is big, you know. It takes a toll, because you have to remember that we are also human beings, you know, with lives, and we have tension in our own lives. And it's just taking care of the body it was really a learning curve for me, because I had to endure a big injury and consistent injuries to even feel even great enough to even do the solo, which 100% of the times I felt like I wasn't even capable of doing my solo 90% of the time, body wise and emotionally wise.
So I appreciate that. Ahmad, I can see you jumping in. My question, I think that the misconception, I so appreciate all of your candor and transparency. I think being honest is the only way that anybody can grow, both for yourself and for other people as well. And so it's just about genuine truth and your story. Someone's hearing your story and you're inspiring them right now. I think the misconception is that, my point to this is that, you know, you get on Broadway and your life is perfect, and, you know, you made it, and that all the struggle, everything goes away. And I feel like that's where the real work begins. Mm-hmm. And so the injury thing and battling your spirit on a Wednesday afternoon when your body is just done. How do you stay inspired to keep showing? Oh, actually, Ahmad, this question is kind of coming up next. But it says, Ahmad, you said earlier that showing up is the perfect transition. Showing up is the hardest part while training and being a professional artist. What advice can you give dancers who don't always feel inspired to go to class? And then Gabby, you mentioned that too, that you're not really like a class person, so you had to put yourself in the shoes for 1 hour a day. But if we can expand just upon like injury care, and, you know, and the training thing as well, but I mean, go for it.
So what I was going to add to Gabby's comment is that we have to understand pacing. That's what was really hard. That's what I'm seeing is really hard for people who go straight from school to Broadway. And there's a blessing in that, but you don't understand quite what it means to do it 8 shows a week yet until you do it. Because in school, we go for broke for a choreographer. We go for broke for a 2-week, you know, season at the Biome or wherever we're going to perform that year. So we don't really know what that is yet. Even in a concert dance company, you have your city center season. So that's like your month, but you're in rep. So you're not doing the same thing every, you know, so Broadway's a different beast. You know, that one that you do in the show, you do that 8 times a week and you don't realize that, you know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. So like after 400 of those, so that's the thing I would give you now. If you're thinking about this career, remember that it's a daily thing. Like this is a job, and all of that rawness that we want to put in the choreography. And when the choreographer is asking us to go for it, we're like, oh, we went to Point Park, honey, I can turn it. Wop, 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 wop. We're not thinking that this is like open-ended. So that's really important. And so when you're coming up with injuries and it's a Wednesday matinee and you know you're gonna have to get on stage and roll over your shoulder on the hard floor and then fight in the rain, you know, 2 times a day, that's when you have to lay down on your back and find your neutral, right? So that spiritual warm-up that we're talking about, do your bridges, make sure your glutes are right, but you have to also close your eyes, open your mind, get there maybe 5 minutes before you go on stage so you can hear people coming in. You have to hear the audience come in, the chatter, the snacks opening, the buzz, because they're here to be blessed by you. And we have to remember that, like, at the end of the day, we're conduits, like we are vessels. This is a gift that is going through us, right? The training is hard, but like at the end of the day, there is a connection from like sky and earth that goes through us. We have to give that back. That's what art is, you know? So that's how I keep inspired on a Wednesday. That's how I keep inspired on show 200 or at 6 a.m. when you're doing it full out for the Tony Awards, you know? Like, that's what you have to remember. You have to hear the crowd. You have to hear them and know that this is their first time and this could change their life, you know?
That's amazing.
Mike,
Yeah, please.
That's so true, Ahmad. And I, for the last now, I guess, 4 years, I've been a swing. So that's even like another different perspective that I guess I'll give you, being a swing and being a dance captain. For those of you that don't know what a swing is, basically I cover for everyone that's in the ensemble. And so if they get hurt or on vacation, I jump in for them. And so I think like the maintenance part of it too is a little bit different because I don't know that I'm in the show every night. And a lot of the times I'm running a rehearsal. So I'm like teaching somebody the show that's brand new. And sometimes they'll call me and they'll be like, okay, somebody just dropped and you need to come from rehearsal, run to the studio, from the studio and be on stage in 20 minutes. And so that has a totally different like mindset too of like, how do I take care of my body in such a short amount of time? And so I think what I've learned over these years is like how to do that. Or I'm trying to figure that out. There literally have been times where I'm sitting downstairs and they're like, okay, put on your costume. You're going on for the hardest number in the show. And you don't warm up. And so it's the pacing and it's the knowing your body, really truly knowing it, taking the time to like get to know what you can do in that moment and what you can't. And the audience might not see that, but you know, it's something that we have to incorporate into our routines. So. Yeah.
I'm gonna address the being present, like attending, you know, classes and stuff, and going to Broadway. I'm just gonna keep it real, like hearty, guys, but just show up because you have short amount of skips, and you're gonna need it for something that is more important. And I'm telling you this because I have used my skips and later in the year have been like, oh, I need it now. I need it now because my body actually can't survive right now. It actually needs to rejuvenate. So just be mindful and cautious of just how you use your skips. And just honestly, if you even don't want to go to class, go. Because you never know who's going to be there. You never know what you're going to learn. You don't know how you're going to express that day, how it's going to relieve you from your stress, your pain, your whatever. So don't even see classes, start to see class, don't see it as class. Like it will feel that way at one point, yeah, because you're learning, but there comes a point when class is amazing and you know you enjoy it, you know. And I honestly miss Point Park classes 100%. Like the people, the teachers, the energy, you never have it anywhere else like Point Park. So just be cognizant of how you spend your time there, because you're not going to get the live music, honey. You're not going to get these teachers that's going to like scream at you, but with passion, and let you know that you got to give with technique, with soul, you know? So, and then with that being said, with the transition of going from school, going from Point Park and being like giving, but then having to transition to this professional world where you're obligated to give, as you know, 8 shows a week. But 100% of the time, you're not going to feel this. Like, you're not going to feel like you want to dance. Like, let's be honest, like your body's going to be shocked. So how are you going to handle you not feeling like you want to do this thing that you love or this thing that you're obligated to do, you know? And it does go back to hearing your audience. But even if you don't hear the audience, because I had times where in my scene, I came in first act, second. I mean, I was the first and second act. So yeah, everybody's confused. Like there was smoke coming out. Everybody was just confused. Like it was just a big, like what? And and in reactions, you know, I didn't always get an applause. I didn't always get a, sometimes I got people who didn't even look at me for 13 minutes. I got people who literally conjured up their emotional state about who I was and what I was doing in their facial expressions. And I had to, even in my worst days, be accepting of these people and be accepting of their souls, because they are obligated to have this. However, with I am going to give, even if it's my worst, even if I feel I'm 25, I'm going to give my best 25%, because there's somebody out there who is going to just feel it. I'm planting a seed. So you have to think about that. Think about your future as well. Like, if you don't want to go to class, then how are you really going to do 8 shows a week? How are you really going to be on the cruise lines? How are you really going to be a star? How are you really going to just create your dream? That is discipline. That is disciplining yourself, disciplining how you see and view everything around you, every single environment, everything.
No, I love that. I mean, and I think also just finding the balance of understanding your body, if you're really, really injured or if you need to push through. So that's another conversation. I mean, what I love is that I do feel like we have a culture at Point Park where you can walk up to your professor and say, I physically cannot get through this. And it's engaging in that conversation and in that communication, but being real with yourself. I mean, Gabby, I go back to Connects, right? And then we were creating this amazing dance, and I'll never forget, you walked up to me before rehearsal one day and just said, it was your back.
It was my back. And also I never told you this. So in the midst of everything, so I remember, don't do this, guys, do the natural stuff, but
right.
Just being on a leave, you know, like just soothing myself with external stuff, because in our like second, third rehearsal, I had a pop in the back of my leg, and I never said anything. And
never said anything.
Never said anything. And yet, and that's another thing, as dancers, you need to say something. Like, and I want to put that in the forefront. Like, don't hide your injuries, because hiding your injuries is going to create more injuries. They travel. So don't do that. Don't be like me. However, the push through, but when I was on stage, like Connects, I don't know, it was just like pushing through. I was motivated because it was a fierce ass dance. Sorry, excuse my language, but it was. And also the people around me was also hurt in a way, but we all got through it. And it was just like, at the end of the day, this problem is gonna get better. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I have to push. I can't baby myself with every injury. It's like, if you get a toe split, you can't baby yourself every time you get a toe split, because it is common. You have to buck up, and you have to get your tape, you have to get your Neosporin, and you learn how to take care of yourself the right way, because you can't just be like, oh, my finger. Girl, you're not getting apart.
Right. And that's it. It's finding the balance between a real injury and a little tweak, and fighting through it, and pacing. That word, Ahmad, circling back, pacing, right? It's so important.
Yeah, I keep thinking, like, is your spirit broken? Are your feelings hurt? Are you really physically hurt?
Right.
Because that's a very different thing. Are you embarrassed because you didn't get that step? Are you not courageous because you can't get the step, and therefore you are creating something in your head as an issue because you don't want to attack that fear? You don't want to look like you don't know? Or are you really physically hurt? Like, it's hard to know. It's hard to know sometimes, but you just gotta.
Well, especially at 18, 19,
Yeah.
21, you're only understanding your body then, and how far you can push. And even at 25, your body changes again, and you're going, well, how far does my leg go up anymore? Right? And you're still discovering, and at 30, right? Yeah. What are you doing? Me in my mid 40s, I can't move. So it's discovering, Ahmad, what warm up you need for what piece that you're doing, what choreography you're doing. So it's ever evolving and changing, but it's about listening to your body and coming together cohesively, mind, body, soul, for
Yeah.
what is in front of you.
Yeah. You got to fill your cup, you
That's
know.
right. That's
You gotta
right.
fill your cup to pour into somebody else's. And that's a daily thing, your daily affirmations.
I love that. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I'm loving this. I miss you guys terribly. I just miss you. Okay, so we've got a question about auditioning here. So when auditioning, what is your approach? Whew.
I can
Go
go. Okay, there's a lot because I've been obviously auditioning and been the auditioner myself, and now I've been able to also be behind the table as well. So I feel like you learn many different things along the way. As far as presenting yourself in the room, I think it's connecting also back to what we said of like knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. It's very intimidating when you walk into a room and you start questioning and doubting all these things and looking at other people. And I think it's really bringing that confidence forward and like, what does that mean? I think there's something very important in your eyes and in your face. A lot of that gets lost, I feel like, at least when I'm sitting behind the table, because people are just thinking about like, what is the step and like, am I doing it correctly? But it's like really owning it and owning and feeling your body. And I think really allowing that to come through your eyes. And I think also what you wear to an audition is very important. Just like, I learned very, in college, not really going to an audition and maybe wearing all black, because if somebody points you out and they say, oh, I don't really remember that girl. She was the one with the brown hair. There's a million people with brown hair. So it's like wearing a pop of a color or wearing your hair a certain way or just presenting yourself that kind of makes you stand out. I think that's something important. And we discussed it a little bit but in school, but I think audition prep is super important. I don't know if you guys agree as well.
Yeah, we have actually evolved. I want to say a little bit about that. We really do discuss applying what we're saying, and a lot of it now is audition prep, entrepreneurship, building your own website, all of these things. I know everyone's like, yes. So yes, we've evolved tremendously. Lots of great opportunities for our dancers now. It really is about making sure when you walk out of the building that you're ready professionally, business-wise, and that you can apply your training. So we train and train and train, but how do you get from point A to B? You know, so we now have those tools, which is great. A nice vehicle to get people to move on.
Yeah, and I think you learn it too as you go like audition to audition.
That's a separate practice. You have to get in there and do it because every audition is different. I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
And so you are kind of figuring out along the way, even if somebody kind of gives you the tools and the knowledge, it's really kind of, because I'll just say, like, I went in for Hamilton like 7 or 8 times within a span of a year and a half. And I learned something different every single time I went in, truly. Just not even obviously what I wore, but like what I brought to the table each time. It's like you really figure that out once you do it for a while.
Every single Broadway show is different. So Ahmad, I'll jump to you because you've done such a different, like a plethora of different things. So
Yeah, I would say, so for me, so Gabby and I share a creator, who Andy Blankenbuehler, and he is actually who I learned a ton about auditioning from. So many lessons. He's the one that taught me it's not always about correctness, because sometimes correct is boring, and there's going to be a lot of correct in the room. He taught me when I was in for Hamilton. A lot. He's the one that told me not to do the show, which is interesting. But he taught me that, like, he was like, you can book the show by marking. He's like, what's the most important right now is the intention of the steps. And that blew my mind. Because I was like, I knew about intention and images from concert dance. That's all you do. There's no line. So it's like, what am I seeing? And you see her and boom, you hinge and you're there. You know, so you create this story in your head, but you're telling me with lyrics, now dance, but I have a different intention from the lyrics, or I'm having the same sort of subtext. What is subtext? You know, it's like all of these things. He's like, that's what I have to see come through your body. The step could be anything. There are a million ways you can say one thing in a step. And that blew my mind, and that changed the way I auditioned. Because like he was my first. It was him for Dirty Dancing and Cats. There was my first auditions here. And so then going on to like auditioning for Justin and like being in the room, I've always been in pre-production for every show that I've done. And that's been a great gift to me because I get to learn what the choreographer has in their head and their way of creating. So you're not just going in cold. So I'm lucky to have that. But I would say though, throughout all of those shows, you have to sort of research the choreographer. I caution every student to go into a room with people in the front of the room that you don't know anything about. Like that is the worst thing you can do. Do not assume that you know what they want. And if you haven't seen any of their work, if you haven't talked to anybody that's worked with them, because remember, they're auditioning for you as well, okay? Then you are in trouble. Like, you need to know their habits. You need to know if they like bright colors. Maybe this choreographer hates green. And while that is so petty, maybe this choreographer hates black. While that is so petty, it's things that make you say, oh, wow, I got to do my research. It's not about just graduating and going, I'm moving to New York. I'm moving to Chicago. I'm moving to LA and I'm going to have a career. Well, like, what do you know about these people and like who they are? Like, what have they gone through? Who do they love? Who are they afraid of? Who are their influences? You know, what have reviews said about them before they came into the room that day? It's like, you have to do your homework. Yeah, so that you really know what you're getting yourself into. And then your audition is just like a meet and greet. You know what I mean? Then you can take that pressure off because it's like, I'm ready. I know what you kind of normally want. And so like, here we go. We're not starting from zero.
That's brilliant. I always tell people, know who's in the room, know what you're walking into, be curious, do your homework, all those things that you hear, but you have to apply that. You have to dig further. You have to know who's in the room. Gabby, what about auditioning? I mean, what was the audition for Oklahoma like? You walk in the room and just kill it? I mean,
Well, it was the complete opposite actually, because I'm even though you audition so much in Point Park University, I'm very shy when it comes to, I especially in the Oklahoma audition, just speaking in terms of how it was. So I came into this audition and it was 7 people in there, 7 beautiful Black women who were grown, who older than me, who just knew. Like, you came in and I just knew. I felt their energy. They were established and just in themselves and the environment. So me coming out of college, yeah, I'm confident in myself, but coming into an establishment where it is kind of intimidating, I was shy. I remember being so focused on learning the choreography, because yes, you have to know the choreography, but also just talking to myself, like I was going back and forth with myself, like knowing that you know how to do better than this. You know how to do this. So why are you putting yourself in that box? And John Higginbotham is funny because he came up to me and was like, hey, just like be yourself, you know? And I'm like, okay. And so I did the audition, all together, and then we was doing 1 by 1. And that is just like the worst thing ever. I don't care how professional you are, you get nervous. I get nervous. And so I was the first one to go for the 1. And I was just like, it was the audition, honestly, it was like tap. It was just grungy. It was just so like in their face. I had to get in the split and just like go on the floor and drag myself and get in their faces and then improv whatever I wanted to do. And in that moment, John came up to me. He was like, I just want you to be free. And so I thought about it and I was like, girl, you went to Point Park University. You have studied, done this so many times. Why are you doing this? And so in that moment, I think that's what knowing, because I did have the entrepreneurship classes, like we are well prepared. Like, we were well prepared, you know, to be in this. Like, I know the audition rules. I know I have my red unitard leotard that I walk into the room and everybody sees me. You know, like we know that. It's being that establishment in myself. I was missing that, and I had to conquer that in a real, like not in a real audition, but an audition without my peers, without my teachers, without the home that I feel so comfortable in. I'm in a different environment. So with that being said, like when it comes to audition, you're gonna be nervous. Like it happens, but you need to be so just aware of like how sweet you are in giving to this moment. You know, like doesn't matter what the other person is doing, doesn't matter what their audition is. Your audition is what matters, and how you do it is how you do it. Because because I got booked. You know, I didn't do it like the other people at all, but they liked what I did. So, and it wasn't the norm. So don't even conform to the normalities of auditioning and seeing the original or seeing like a set thing. No, be yourself. Be like, hey, they're squares and I'm a triangle, you know, like I'm a diamond and they're squares and they're freaking triangles. You know, you have to be that. You have to be in that type of mentality. And that's what I'm learning.
Love this. But I even go back to connects again with you when I told you just to let go for the solo. I was like, what are you doing? What are
And
you
that was such a solo. It was.
let go. And the first time that she did it and she unleashed, I just sat there. My mouth was like, what just happened? And you were like, is that okay? I was like,
I was like, is that okay?
Hey, I was like, I think you're gonna be just fine. Okay, good. But that's what you train for. It's that breakthrough, right? I mean, that moment where you go, oh, this is it. And everything lines up and it clicks and you're able to like actually flip that switch to go. And then the joy, just the joy of what we do kind of all comes together. It's amazing. Someone says right here, you are all such amazing artists. Thank you for being inspiring, genuine, and honest. And it's exactly who you are as human beings, which is why we still get in touch every time I come to New York City. Okay, so Caleb, hey. So Caleb says, what daily habits, rituals have you developed to ensure that you are consistently at your best artistically and mentally? So we touched upon this a lot. I think just your preparation, your own. Does anyone have anything to expand upon?
Yes. So
she's getting warmed up now. She's like, I'm ready to go.
I'm like, I am ready. So when I was at Point Park, I don't know if nobody knows this, but I love YouTube. However, I would listen to these meditation, you know, music, like frequencies, like raising your positive vibrations, affirmations, manifesting. And I would listen to that every single time. Every single day I had a down moment, even if I was sleeping, because it's a rejuvenation, you know, and to the ears, we love music, you know, we respond to music. And so when we hear that vibration of music, just scientifically, it upraises us, spiritually. So spiritually, I have to do that all the time. I pray, you know, I'm always like, I have to wake up grateful, even when I'm sad. I have to just say it, just be grateful for yourself. And that's the first step, I feel like, to just being your best self and being your best artist, is being like, oh, I am alive. I am grateful for being alive. I am healthy. I have my limbs. Even if they're not working, I still have the ability to move, to create, to be here. So I'm going to take that initiative and take this moment to be my best self, even if I'm sad, even if I'm whatever, you know, because your best self is in every version. It's a multitude of things. But you have to start your rituals now, you know, and even if it's the weirdest form, like I used to sleep with crystals under my head, you know, and my best friend, she had her ways of coping. Her ways was just watching YouTube videos, you know, and I used to watch it with her, like watching YouTube, like watching weddings, you know, like you have to have something that uplifts you, like happily, like just uplifts you, like is a get up, but also you got to ground yourself with your spirituality. If you don't have that, then you don't have yourself.
That's amazing. We are at a 15-minute warning. Does anyone have anything to expand upon? I just want to make sure we get through the rest of the questions and then maybe we can circle back. Is that okay? I love that. But Gabby, you're right. It is about finding whatever it is for you, fun music or some kind of sunrise, listening, meditation, just grounding and centering, just centering so you can keep moving. Okay, I love this question. That's why I want to get to it. So what's next after your performing career? What other areas of the industry excite you or interest you? And Ahmad, I know you kind of touched on this, but Gabby, I also want you to talk about your modeling career, right? So there's all kind of things that you guys are up to. And Gabriella, so just we know who else. I mean, you're also, I mean, you're in front of the room directing, choreographing. In a way, you're teaching all the information. You're behind the table. So I know that you're still in the heart of performing, but what would be next for you?
Ladies, get it.
Oh, okay. Okay. For performing, I'd love to, I already cover one of the sisters. I'd love to have another cover under my belt. In performing wise, I mean, I've been singing since I was a kid and I love it just as much as I love dancing. So I'd love to kind of attack some more roles. That would be really fun. And then I think after I'm done performing, I think I want to take over, like be a director of like my high school program or like teach at a university so I can kind of give my knowledge to others. I don't think I can actually separate myself from being an artist. So I think I have to continue to be an artist in some way. So I think I'd like to do that and teach and choreograph and just continue to work with amazing artists, be in the world. Yeah.
Definitely a teacher at your core. You always give back and are always willing to offer master classes and things like that. But even Breakfast with Jody, whenever we met you, you had talked about teaching and all those things. So it's great. It's great to hear that repetition. So it's definitely something that's in you. You have a gift for it. Not everyone has a gift for teaching, you know, and running a room. So it's amazing.
Thanks, Kiesha.
Yeah, thank you. Who else?
When it comes to performing, well, it's insane because I'm at this point in my life where I really have to transition because what Broadway for me was at the end of my career, but Broadway was the start of my career. So now I'm expanding myself, not how, I am expanding myself. I want to do collaborations with people like other creatives and infuse technology into that. I'm so invested into technology and how dance could be infused into that. So I'm really in that. Performance-wise, I want to be on the big screen. I want to be on movies. I want to represent dance in a different light. I want to be in commercials. I want to be that love and light everywhere. So there's no like ending. But in other ways, I'm I love animating. I love drawing. So I want to start my own anime, you know, just because like, that's just something I really, really love and I really want to expand upon. So I'm doing that. And just what is like just art, like I'm drawing again, you know, and how can I do that? I could just make a dance animation, you know, do a whole dance performance on that type of time, you know, like introducing myself into new things and then putting that into my performance career and expanding that as well, you know, because I want to speak. I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to give opportunities to people who don't have opportunities. I was fortunate to even have the opportunities for people to be like, hey, if you clean in school, you can be here, you know, and that was my life, you know. So I had so many sacrifices and so many other people that sacrificed for me to not give back, you know, like I have to give back because that's all of me. That's all that is inside of me. That was all that was raised in me.
I circle back to the three most beautiful human beings that I know. all you do is give back, all three of you already. And I just, yeah, I love you. You know this.
I am obsessed with these women.
Aren't they amazing?
Okay, so the
I mean,
real,
you're okay, but
no, the real tea.
all three of you on one show is just, I mean, it's overwhelming, but just, it's
I'm dying, I'm gushing. Because like the most selfish part of me is gonna say that I want to be the person that says, hey, Gabby Hamilton, like you've been drawing again, but you're a dance artist, but you've come from here. Like, let me put the people in a room to like have you create the show to share, you know, or like, let me give you, Gabby, the opportunity to direct and choreograph your own show and tell the story that you want to tell. Let me, you know, like that's my next chapter. It's like, if anything, after West Side, like I feel very blessed to have had the past 5 years that I did. And I'm ready now to transition. Like I did it, I was performing and I did the me thing so that I could give to the you, right? So like, it's all a means of gathering experiences to share. So at this point in my life, and what I've started to do now officially is be more on like the producing side. So I'll be producing my first show. Like next season will be one of the first shows that I'm on as a producer of. And like, I want to just like continue to do that. Like putting people into the room with good stories, good writers, the most creative thinkers, the most scrappy, the most, you know, full of dreams, full of hopes, the most diverse, the most knowing of themselves, people into a room to create art that is either life-changing or, you know, form-changing for theater. Yeah, it's just like giving opportunities. I also would love to be in the academia world. You know, I think there's something really special about that training ground there that it is unlike anything else. It's like people at their ripest, you know, and like that's something I pride myself on. Again, like being a teacher and being able to influence there. So producing is definitely something that's happening now and that I want to continue to do. Writing, I'll choreograph, you know, here and there. But yeah, it's just all about getting the right people into the right space to like create amazing things.
You've been, I've told so many students this in the past, but you've been such a muse for me. It's no secret. But
I learned how to dance doing your pieces from even freshman year, going, gone. Like, are you kidding me? I was so new. I had no idea what I was doing. You're like, you're going to Chicago. You're dancing with all seniors. It's like, oh, what am I doing?
You're always amazing, Ahmad. You always were though. You know what I mean? You're always focused. Always there.
And you know what you want. You are going to be that person that brings people together. You have that essence about you, that magical power. And I mean, even the bench, you were a senior and I would look at you and say, okay. And it was you and I together in that room with the right people in the right room, yeah, doing the right things for the right reason, and magic happens.
Yeah.
And we just kind of, I couldn't have done it without you. So much of that show was inspired, but you had the ability to communicate with me. And I think that's three things that all three of you, that's a gift that you have, is honest communication, yeah, with yourselves and with other people from day one. But you've always had that power to kind of bring things together in a way to create, whether you're doing it on the floor as a dancer artist, you're so giving. And I tell people all the time, you're the next greatest, you know, director, choreographer that's going to come our way. I have no doubt in my mind that that's next for you, but at the next level as producer as well. Yeah. And it's your greatest gift, is bringing people together from any aspect of what you do. And I look forward to watching all three of you continue this journey. You know, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be like, let's go. Okay, so we have two more questions and we only have, my clock just went 5:55. So we have 5 minutes left.
No, this flew by.
It went so fast. Okay, so how do you stay present? We did talk about this. How do you stay present in a show when you do have to do it 8 times a week? So you talked about your preparation and your mental awareness and just kind of taking those 5 minutes, Ahmad. You talked about opening up the candy, like listening to the audience, right? But that's the excitement. I mean, just listening and preparing. Is there anything that you want to expand upon?
Honestly, I'd say that's it. It's just like knowing that it's for someone else. It's their first time. And those people that came from California to see you, you know, because they love the show. So just like stay in that curiosity and that excitement.
And Gabby, you talked about that too. You said, you know, people are there and you can change their life. You know, they're there for an experience as well, and you want to be able to provide that for them.
Yeah, like just what Amma was saying, just having that curiosity of just all knowing of knowing that you have the ability to change. You have the ability to excite somebody. You have the ability to ignite somebody. Our bodies is a vessel of higher power. Even if you want to believe it now or believe it later, you need to believe it soon, because we're messengers, you know, like we're doctors. And I don't know who I was talking to, and if this was a quote that I've read, but they said that dancers should be next to doctors. Like they are next to doctors because they have the ability to heal from the inside out. Not everybody could do that. Doctors could do that, but they do it physically. We do that without the insertions. We do that without the pain, the medication, and all that other stuff. We plant. We're farmers. So just know that you have a duty. Like it, yes, dance is for yourself. Yeah, dance is for you, but this is outside of you now. This is more about giving. And if you don't want to give, then why are you dancing? You have to understand what you're dancing for. So once you do that, then you have your all accessibility to wanting to be present, even if it's 25% at that performance.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It might go a little off topic, but I just wanted to say that to the students that are watching, I was that kid that stood outside of the stage door and with my playbill and wanted to meet the performers. And I'm now the person that gets to do that and walk in the door. And so there's a big sense of pride in that, but also almost like a responsibility. And I kind of love these moments because we were those people that were hustling and doing the work and putting ourselves out there in every which way. And I think that even makes it even more gratifying when you hit the stage and you're able to do what you love. So it is hard. It is a hard business. I'm not going to sugarcoat and be like, it's all sunshine and rainbows. It's very hard to get it and to make it, and you really have to have a strong mind and sense of determination, but it's a beautiful thing, and you can get there because I got there and my other colleagues have gotten there. So I just want to make sure I said that before we finished. So
no, I just got a 2-minute warning from Katie. Thank you, Katie, so much. Pittsburgh Playhouse is saying 2-minute warning, 2-minute warning. So I personally want to thank every single one of you. Your light and love clearly shines through even through this Zoom screen. And I'll circle back to the word care. You genuinely care. You care about every aspect. You pay attention to the sounds in the audience before the show starts. The little girl outside, right? The little girl outside that's waiting for your signature. You're not going to just run around the other way and ignore it. You feel a sense of responsibility. And then Gabby, even with you caring about every single person in that audience and knowing that you're going to impact them one way or another, you're coming for them. And I love that. But I genuinely love every single one of you, you know this, and respect you, so much respect, and honored, just honored that we've been able to keep in touch, and you have represented this university and our dance program at the highest level of every realm, both professionally and personally. You are beautiful human beings, and I just know that we support you. We will always be here for you. You will always have a home. And again, profoundly just proud, and I get choked up, you know, I'll start crying. I miss you terribly. I do. I miss you terribly, and
thank you
all the best. If you guys just want to say thank you and goodbye to everybody, and if anybody has any questions, please email me. It's klalama@pointpark.edu. please don't hesitate, because I can get a hold of these guys and ask them specific questions. I know that they're saying yes, they're willing to, of course. You can follow all of them on Instagram, find their handles. They will absolutely be in touch with you. They are very communicative and beautiful people. And next Monday at 4:30, we'll continue the conversation with other dancers and alumni from the program. So a huge thank you from Point Park University and our dance speaker series. You guys are the first ones ever. So thank you, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiesha. Love you.
Thank you,
Bye, everybody.
everybody. Thank you.
Blessings,
Bye,
everyone.
Guys.